Greetings, comrades, and welcome to the Eastern Border. Three things happened in these days. First of all, on February 29th, Vladimir Putin gave his 19th annual address to Russia's Federal Assembly. While presidential spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, who is widely known as the mustache of Putin, and he doesn't really say anything great, said that Putin would be speaking both as the head of a state and as a candidate for the country's upcoming election. The address differed very little from Putin's other recent speeches, although it did contain new variations of the threats against the West that have, become the usual and everything that we know basically here. He repeated his longtime claims that Moscow's invasion on Ukraine is a defensive war against the aggressive West. He threatened to launch retaliatory strikes against Western countries if they attack Russian territory. By the way, I'm seriously thinking, and I got some information that those whole things about how Russia has a different nuclear strategy and how that's not how we should be scared of that, how they're going to use them. I think that's a leak from Russia to make us more scared, and this falls in line with it. I think Russia just wants to make sure that Germany doesn't give Taurus missiles, and we're all afraid of nukes. At this point, I'm pretty sure Putin won't use them. That's his just operating stuff because he's too busy with Navalnya's funeral, which is going to be big event. So that's an extra step. First he leaked something to the press. Now he's saying that. It's a fun stuff. At the beginning of the 2-hour address, Putin insisted that, by the way, an absolute majority of Russians have supported the war in Ukraine from the start and continues to support it. Quote, despite all the trials, the bitterness of the losses, people remain steadfast in this choice. They confirm this constantly with their desire to do as much as they can for their country and for the common good. The problem is, of course, all the polling data say completely otherwise, that they're tired of this war, but, not like Putin has ever much bothered with the truth, really. Assessing reports from European leaders that they discussed the prospect of sending troops to Ukraine at a summit this week, Putin reminded his audience of, quote, the fate of those who send their forces to the territory of our country. This time he said, quote again, the consequences for possible interventionists will be much more tragic. They must realize that we too have weapons that can hit targets on their country. Of course, threatening with nukes in all possible ways. How glorious. And again, don't fall for those leaks, which sometimes mainstream media posts out there. I sometimes just don't actually quite get why Western media does what they do. I mean, why would a lot of press say that we have found out secret plans to send something to Ukraine? Those plans were secret for a reason. Russia is incompetent. I don't know why people are posting about secret plans that help about something helping Ukraine, or just falling for this of Russia's readiness to use nukes, which is, according to my sources, total bluff. And, I understand that there are things out there that you must inform your readers or listeners, but I kind of, when Washington Post, for example, posts stuff that actively hurts Ukrainian war effort, that, calls into question their kind of ethics. Because first and foremost, I think, you should be responsible about this. At least for me, as this is personal, it is what it is. I want Ukraine to win first, and then after I can, only then with information security, I'll tell you about all the plans that I've found out. But, I digress. Some people just don't seem to care. Oh yeah, by the way, people from NewsGuard, apparently, who were kind of rating these sites, finally caught up on us, and they said we're fine. They just sent me an email asking if I'm the owner. But carrying on. All of the Putin continued about this attack. All of the things they're coming up with right now, all the ways they're scaring the entire world, all this carries the real threat of a conflict involving the use of nuclear weapons, which would mean the destruction of civilization. I'm mentioning this again because if Putin loudly yells about this, this ain't gonna happen. If he would say we would never use nukes at all, and that would be completely out of the question, then I would start being worried. Seriously. Putin also called for Russia, obviously, to strengthen its military presence in the western part of the country, in light of Finland's and Sweden's accession to NATO, accusing the alliance of dragging in the new members. Yeah, as if someone dragged them in by force. Of course, senile old fool. At the same time, Putin dismissed speculation that Russia is preparing to launch an attack on European countries, calling it nonsense. Now, that I would be worried about, living here in the Baltics. If in case of whatever, I know that certain services and certain people listen to my show, okay? In case there's a actual real threat of us getting invaded, or we just, getting into trouble, I really sincerely hope that you guys who listen to my show will get me out of here somehow. I know what I'm doing. I'm grabbing Evit and going straight to U.S. Embassy. Or the Dutch embassy or Canadian embassy. I think it's going to be the U.S. embassy, although I think I might be listened to in other things. But most likely I'll just go to the United States embassy, because and then hopefully from there something could be figured out. Because that part is now scaring me. Also, he denied that Moscow plans to deploy nuclear weapons in space, saying that these claims are a hoax meant to pressure Russia into making a deal favorable to Washington in the lead up to elections. Now, about space, he won't put nukes into space. That would be stupid. I mean, the Roscosmos can't launch many things up there. Their failure rate is huge. What are they going to do? Launch up something from Baikonur with nukes there? How are they going to get them there? No nukes in space. They're going to try to all these senses. Now, attacking European countries? Maybe. Maybe not. Depending on how much equipment we give to Ukraine. If we give everything to Ukraine, then nothing of that is going to happen, obviously. But, most of Putin's speech, however, is dedicated to various domestic initiatives. Of course, he said he would combat poverty, boost Russia's birth rate, improve education, provide support for veterans. Under a new project called Family, he said Russia's federal government will allocate, quote, no less than 75 billion rubles, which is 825 million, to family support programs in regions with below average birth rates. And he also said, finally, that the country's minimum wage is set to nearly double, reaching 35,000 rubles. That's almost $385 per month by 2030. That's a lot of money, right? Just stupid. None of this is going to be done. This is just warmongering, and he just needs to look cool and everything. This, by the way, is in context with Transnistria. Yeah, this is just weird. These guys, in Transnistria, which we haven't talked about a lot, just appealed to Putin, literally yesterday, to protect it against pressure from Chisinau. Quote, we resolved to appeal to the Federation Council and the State Duma of the Russian Federation, requesting measures to protect Transnistria amidst increased pressure from Moldova. And all that nonsense. Just stupidity. Of course, there is no pressure there, but this is what Girkin said always in the early war, that there might be something going on there. There must be some plan out there. This is just so strange. If something's going to happen there, I'll be very weirded out. And I don't think this is done by Putin. I think this is done by Transnistria, and they are feeling something. They've been told to make some fuss on the rear side there to maybe pull back some Ukrainian troops, but I don't think anything real is going to happen there. Russia has about 1,500 people, like the military there in the region. They call them peacekeepers. Nothing much is going on unless there's going to be some ceremony there. But with all this nonsense and with Transnistria and with Putin, I wanted to contrast this with another speech. See, on February 28th, the day before Putin gave his whole speech to the address to the federal parliament, Navalny's widow, Yulia Navalnaya, addressed the European Parliament. Navalny's team streamed her speech on YouTube, and again, there are some main points that I'd like you to know, just to compare and contrast. Oh yeah, and again, interviews are coming as soon as Anna edits them, because personal issues and all that so they're probably gonna be on the 2nd. She described, Yulia Navalnaya that is, described the difficulties she's faced in trying to organize her husband's funeral and burial. She said that even now she doesn't know if the Russian authorities will allow the event to take place peacefully, and I'm pretty sure that they won't. It's going to be a massive, massive issue there, because Putin claims everyone supports the war, and if a lot of people arrive there in Navalny's funeral, it's going to be pretty bad. Navalnaya clarified that she was addressing the EU Parliament to answer a question often put to her: how to help in her fight. She emphasized that innovative methods like those of her husband's are needed to combat this Kremlin regime. According to Navalnaya, regular tactics are futile against Putin because he's a mobster rather than a politician, and with this I can 100% agree. He's not a politician, he truly is a mobster, and he should be, treated as such. Quote, "The political innovation here is to apply the methods of fighting organized crime, not political competition. Not diplomatic notes, but investigations into financial machinations. Not statements of concern, but a search for mafia associates in your countries, for the discreet lawyers and financiers who are helping Putin and his friends to hide money." And that is very true. I agree with this 100%. Navalnaya warned that the world would be at risk at becoming indifferent to Putin's brutality. Quote, "Last Saturday was 2 years since Putin started a full-scale war against Ukraine. A brutal, cunning, and sneaky war. The whole world rushed to Ukraine's aid, but 2 years have passed. There's much exhaustion, much blood, much disappointment, and Putin has gone nowhere. Everything has already been used, weapons, money, sanctions. Nothing is working, and the worst has happened. Everyone got used to the war. Here and there, people start to say, well, we're going to have an agreement with him anyway, and all that nonsense. Yeah, that's the thing, which is why I reminded you as well on the 24th that normalization of war is not allowed by any means whatsoever. Navalnaya also expressed grief about her husband, that he'll never see the beautiful Russia of the future. And she said, quote, "Putin must answer for what he has done to my country. Putin must answer for what he has done to our neighboring peaceful country. And Putin must answer for everything he has done to Alexei." And I agree about that. I agree about all those points, except that, yeah, I really don't think that there's going to be any beautiful Russia of the future. Meanwhile, by the way, about Navalny's cemetery. A full day before Navalny's burial, police officers began guarding the Borisovskaya cemetery, where he is said to be, buried. According to the Telegram channel Rus News, the authorities have already brought numerous pieces of metal fencing there. They're patrolling the area in groups 2 to 3. Surveillance cameras have been installed in every lamppost. Police squads with reinforcements are also on duty at the nearest metro station. At the cemetery's entrance, 2 officers have reportedly been making visitors show their passports and explain the goal of their visit. Police are inspecting people's personal items to prevent terrorist operations. It's going to be just stupid. Students, for example, also on the Russian Presidential Academy of Economy and Public Administration, the Saran Hicks, they were told to stay away from any rallies or gatherings on Moscow on February 29th or March 1st. And apparently, any participation in the funeral would be an automatic expulsion. It's going to be stupid. It's going to be crazy. And the whole thing is going to be a mess. And of course, I'll try to do my best to actually pay attention to it. But yeah, wait until Saturday. Right now, we're going to go and see Dune 2. Really want to see that movie finally and get some relaxation. If you ordered the maps and haven't paid for them, or you haven't sent us your address, please go to our Discord. Links are available if you just scroll through Patreon, or just ask around on Patreon how to get to Discord, or just Google up the Eastern Border Discord. You'll surely find it. You can get there, or you can just email me. I'm talking about Patreon. Please consider supporting us. This is a rough period. My wedding's coming pretty soon, and then I'm going to try to become more of a stable person anyways. We live in interesting times. It's rough, but we'll manage. Oh yeah, and if you paid Patreon, you can just go to theeasternborder.lv and click the donate button there. That would be also nice, or whatever Acast gives to you, because Acast, sadly, doesn't pay us for ads as much as they would if we would be an American broadcaster or something. That's the kind of bad thing when you are, from a small country in Latvia. But hey, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to keep you informed, and we'll see how all this mess turns out. And like I said, hey, if Putin actually decides to attack anywhere near my country, then my first step is just straight, gonna grab Evita and straight to the United States Embassy, because I am definitely on someone's short list. And that's about it for today. If you have any other solutions or ideas, and I know you guys are listening, if there's any real threat, keep me updated. До свидания, товарищи. And as always, remember, happiness is mandatory.